Andrew Holness. Good morning, Dr. Holness. I pray you and your family are safe and well, sir.
Thank you, Neville. Thank you, Debbie. Good morning to the entire Jamaica. Yes, my family is safe, but I'm grateful that though we have had a bad hit, it is not the worst that could have happened. And today, we're thankful to be alive and generally safe to be able to pursue our recovery in a fulsome way.
Yeah. Before we get very specific, sir, this is obviously not your first rodeo. What would happen now? What's your first move? What do you do? Again, before we get specific, what would happen now?
Well, we're now into the relief phase of our recovery plan, which is the immediate provision of humanitarian relief. So we're looking to have food, medicine, temporary shelter, and any other relief necessary for the preservation of life and to provide our citizens with even the basic conveniences. The second phase would be, which runs parallel to the first phase in some instances, would be the clearing of roads that are blocked. So we want to give access to ensure that there is no community that is cut off, and to restore communications and electricity. There are some areas in Jamaica where it's difficult to communicate with now, in St. James, parts of Westmoreland, Hanover, parts of St. Elizabeth, Manchester. So the objective now is, as soon as we're given the all clear that there is no other weather system that could impact us, the utility companies will be out there trying to restore electricity. The third phase would be the assistance in building, so helping persons to restore their roofs and their housing. And then once we are complete with that, then we will move intensely into the rebuilding phase, which would be now a strategic approach to restoring communities, business hubs, urban spaces, and the like. And there are some things, however, that we do simultaneously. Damage assessment, that will be done constantly throughout. And the damage assessment is the first phase of the data gathering on the storm, on the impacts of the hurricane. So we need to understand exactly what happened, how it happened, why it happened, who was it affected. And that will be a continuous process of evaluating what exactly went wrong. As you are showing pictures of fields that are damaged, I would also say that there would be a process of revitalizing and getting our economy back on track. So agriculture is one area in which there would be some focus. We have to get our farmers back into the field. And the Minister of Agriculture is already working on a strategy for that. Tourism has been hit. We have some preliminary assessment. There's not much I can say about the extent of the damage, but the Ministry of Tourism has a very good recovery plan, and I know they have started to have that impacted. There was some damage to BPO facilities. We will have to provide some support in getting those facilities back on track. But, generally, it was a bad hit. It could have been worse. We're thankful that we were spared the worst. Kingston and St. Andrew and parts of St. Catherine were St. Mary, and so we're not as badly hit as other parishes, say St. Elizabeth, which as of now, based upon the information we have, could have been the worst hit. St. James, parts of Hanover, parts of Westmoreland, parts of Manhattan.
PM, it has been, it's early hours still, and I'm sure a lot of the assessment is still ongoing as to how much we have, experienced in terms of damages. In terms of the international support and the international help, though, I'm sure you have been in communications with a number of our partners and friends internationally. What have they been saying?
Well, there is a genuine outpouring of support and commitments and pledges. What we're going to be doing this morning, I'm having a cabinet meeting this morning to discuss that very thing. In fact, in another few minutes, I have to join that and start that meeting. What we don't want is for there to be confusion and any bungling in how that is coordinated. So through ADPEM, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we will ensure, and the JDF, we will ensure that we have a very efficient team that will coordinate all our international philanthropic and support that will come into Jamaica.
Sir, unfortunately, before the hurricane, we lost some of our citizens. Have you heard, God forbid, did we lose anyone?
So I've had confirmation of 3 deaths, which were quite unfortunate. The circumstances I gather were that they were trying to take precautionary measures in cutting trees and clearing debris, and there were some accidents, and they were victims of these accidents. So that's what I can confirm at this moment. But with a Category 5 hurricane, certainly I'm expecting, although we pray for the best, that as we get the reports in, that there may be more casualties. We just would not be able at this point to confirm.
Yeah, that 3 that you said, would it be the same 3 I was talking about that was before the hurricane? Is that the same 3?
No, it's before the hurricane, and I suspect it would be the same 3.
Okay.
Yeah. PM, right now I know that Sangster International Airport, we were told, is still closed. There's so many persons who are still with us here in Jamaica who, they want to leave the country. What are we doing?
Both
airports are still closed.
Are closed. Yesterday, I had the NWA and the JDF conduct an assessment of Norman Manley International Airport, particularly of the peninsula. And the Palisados roadway and the roadways leading to that, to see if we could have an early opening for Norman Manley. As I said, I have a cabinet meeting in a few minutes, and we'll get a report from Minister Vaz. If it is possible, Minister Vaz had already indicated that Thursday he would be seeking to reopen the airports that can be reopened. But if we can open today, then we will advance the opening, certainly, of Norman Manley. That is to be confirmed by midday today. We should be able to say to the nation whether or not that is possible. If it is possible, then we could mount an operation to have some of the guests. If we could get aircrafts in, we could start having persons who need to leave the island utilize Norman Manley, but that will take some time to be coordinated. But certainly we want the airport to be open so that we can start getting in humanitarian relief.
Yep. The Honourable Minister of Education mentioned supportjamaica.gov.jm website. What should happen at that website? I must tell you, say, boy, I see something here. I don't say I must ask questions. What you want us to do?
We've created the website to be easy to use. It's not too much clutter. So right now it's about being able to make contact with the necessary agencies, particularly ADPEM. It gives you the account to which you can donate if you intend to make contributions. And it's a fairly easy website to use.
Yep. Yeah. You mentioned St. Elizabeth again, and from what you've heard, I know Beryl really gave them a hard time. Is it worse this time, sir?
Well, from what I've seen, I'm going to St. Elizabeth today. It appears to be total damage of Black River and adjoining communities.
Wow.
The coastal areas have also sustained significant damage. So yes, it would have been worse than Beryl, particularly because some areas that were impacted by Beryl were also again impacted by Melissa.
Yeah. And PM, do you know, not sure if you do know, sir, but do you know what had happened with the patients at the Black River Hospital? We know that there was some damage to the hospital. Do you know what happened?
Significant damage.
Yeah.
I know the last report I had was that there was an attempt to relocate them to Mandeville. I'm going to be updated on that in another in another few minutes. I'll have an update on that.
Prime Minister, almost every time we hear bad weather, hurricane, there are areas in Jamaica that get, some big leaks. And I keep hearing that people shouldn't be living there, you can't build here, evacuation, and we still go there. What can you do as Prime Minister to ensure that it just don't make any sense?
Well, let me put it in this way. The work that we have done in building national resilience is not quite understood by the public just yet. But when it is reviewed through the lens of history, it will be seen that we have done significant work, particularly in how we are able to finance recovery efforts and how we are able to prepare and immediately respond to disasters. The next phase of the resilience building would be, which is underway, how we rebuild infrastructure to withstand the new climate that we have. And this new climate is characterized by frequent, multiple, overlapping, and intense crises. So, particularly weather crises. So how do we build our highways and where do we locate them? Historically, our main roads and highways were run along the coast, hugging alongside rivers, and carved along the edges of hillsides, which are all very precarious and vulnerable to weather events. Now you will see that the new roads that we're building are inland, higher ground, and built with proper drainage and other civil infrastructure support to ensure that those infrastructure can last and withstand a 100-year weather event. So all our building, all our infrastructure, everything new that we're building is built with the new climate in mind. So that's the second phase of our resilience project. So every new infrastructure, every new capital expenditure, that is the consideration. The third phase of it is now to say to people, listen, let us be wise in where we live. Now that's very complicated. People grow attached to their property, grow attached to their land, and then it's political. You want to move me from here because you want to impact voting somewhere, or, it's an equity issue. You want to take me off land that I didn't have before and I struggled hard to get. And now, as a nation, we're going to have to move past that. Like it or not, the fact that we're having these frequent storms and hurricanes. Last year, we had a category 4 in Beryl. This year, we have Melissa. Every year, we have had some form of tropical storm with heavy rains impacting lives. So yes, the government will launch an effective communication and public education campaign about wise choices in where you live. But I think these events themselves are seeping into the consciousness of Jamaicans. It doesn't make sense to go and put up a house in a gully course. Yeah. It doesn't make sense to live in a low-lying area. So more and more Jamaicans are going to be conscious in their choice about where they choose to live. Now, the reality is people are going to live where they have access to land. So the other side of the equation is how fast can government make structured communities available in an affordable way for people to utilize those options.
We have to
So
go
that's
to-
the third phase of the resilience plan.
We have to go to news, sir. I'll give you 30 seconds to say something to the country, please.
Well, I want everybody to take a positive view. Those persons who have suffered damage and loss, know that the government is standing up a response immediately to reach out to you. For those who came through this hurricane unscathed, please look out for your brother, look out for your family, look out for your community, look out for the rest of Jamaica that has been damaged. Let us all unite around the flag, around our people, to recover from this even stronger. We give God thanks for sparing us the worst, and we ask him to give us the courage, the energy, and the vision to mount a recovery that will make our people better and stronger.
Yeah, be safe going to St. Elizabeth, sir, and God bless you and your family. Thanks for speaking with us.
Thank you.
Second edition of News in 5 as we thank the Most Honorable Dr. Andrew Holness, our Prime Minister. We thank him for speaking with us this morning.